Hi, in this video we're going to be looking at part 3 of the IELTS speaking test. We'll take a look at some sample questions and answers on the topic of holidays. What I want to do is show you two specific structures that we can use to answer part 3 questions. It means you can fully answer a question and cover everything that the question asks you. The structure that we're using here won't be too short and also it won't be too long. Right, let's have a look at both questions that we're looking at today. First one, do you think that it's important for people to go on holiday? And the second one, why do you think some people prefer not to go abroad on holiday? So those are the two questions. You can see the first one is a do you question. So it requires kind of a yes or no answer and then explaining your answer a bit. And it's, do you think it's important? This is kind of a question that we have seen before and is very common in the IELTS speaking test, especially in part 3. But here it's for people to go on holiday. So there we go. We'll look at the answer for that in a bit. Let's just have a quick look at the second question in a bit more detail. This is a bit different. It's a why do you think some people question. Now, this again is quite a common style of question where it gives you some people's opinion. You're not asked, do you think, to say yes or no, but here you're asked why. You've got to explain this opinion. Why do you think some people prefer not to go abroad on holiday? So you've got to explain why some people believe that. You're not really giving your own opinion here. You're explaining someone else's opinion. So slightly different. Okay, let's go back to that first question and look at a sample answer for that question. And this answer will use a specific structure that I'll explain after I've shown you the answer. So here we go. Do you think that it's important for people to go on holiday? Yes, I think we all need to go on holiday at least once or twice a year. It isn't healthy to work all year round without some time off to relax. We all need to take a break and recharge our batteries from time to time. Last summer, for example, I went on holiday for a couple of weeks and it was great to leave all of my usual responsibilities behind me. I came home feeling really refreshed and reinvigorated. So that's it, that's the end of that answer. Now, quite a long answer there, but in part 3, the answers do have to be a bit more extended than the kind of answers we're giving in part 1. But it's not too long here. What we've got, if we take a look at the whole answer there, you can see we're using 4 sentences in this answer. And basically, we're going through a specific structure here. What we're doing is, in the first sentence, you've got the main idea or the direct answer to the question. You can see it begins with yes, and then I think my direct opinion. We all need to go on holiday at least once or twice a year. I added a little bit of detail at the end there, at least once or twice a year, but basically I'm just directly answering that question. We're copying words and grammar from the question as well. So that's the first sentence. We're giving a direct answer, our main idea. And then you can see in the second sentence, we go on to explain that in more detail. So this is the explaining, and we do this for just one sentence. It isn't healthy to work all year round without some time off to relax. Some nice idiomatic language there with time off, meaning time when you don't have to go to work. And then the second part of the sentence, we all need to take a break and recharge our batteries from time to time. Again, some nice phrases there. Recharge our batteries. Now, this again is idiomatic language. Obviously, we don't really have batteries, but this is a term we can use, and it's quite common for native speakers to use, that meaning to kind of get your energy back. And then from time to time, which means occasionally. It's just a more idiomatic way of saying occasionally. So that's the first two steps there. The idea and then explain that idea. Then we get to the next sentence, or the final two sentences, where we're giving an example. Just a very short, quick, personal example. You can see here, last summer, for example. You can see that nice clear connector there, which is showing the person listening that we're giving an example. And then I went on a holiday for a couple of weeks, and it was great to leave all of my usual responsibilities behind me. That's that sentence, and you can see there we're switching actually from the present tense to the past tense. So by giving an example, kind of we're showing more tenses and more variety in our grammar. And then the final sentence, I came home feeling really refreshed and rejuvenated. Just showing off some nice adjectives there for describing feeling, refreshed and reinvigorated. Again, similar to kind of recharging our batteries, that idea of getting more energy and feeling less tired. So there we go. You can see we've got those three steps there in that answer. The idea, and explain, and then an example. Pretty simple there, just going through those three steps. Now, of course, maybe you can go through those three steps with one sentence each, or maybe you need more than one sentence for one of those steps. I don't think we should ever use more than two sentences for one of those steps. Part of the idea of part 3 is that you're showing off that you can give your opinion in a quite concise and clear way. So any longer than that might not be a good idea. Right, let's move on to the second question and look at the answer for that, which uses a slightly different structure that kind of fits this style of question a bit better. Right, let's have a look. Why do you think some people prefer not to go abroad on holiday? I suppose there are different reasons why some people choose not to go abroad on holiday. Firstly, it's usually more expensive to travel abroad than it is to stay at home. A second reason could be that some people find it stressful to spend time in a foreign country where they don't speak the language, or where they feel that they can't easily integrate with the locals. Finally, many people just love where they live and don't feel the need to travel abroad. Okay, so there we go. That's the answer to that question. You can see here it's a similar length of answer. So there is actually, again, 4 sentences. That's not a rule you have to follow. Every answer doesn't need to be 4 sentences, but we are using a specific structure here for the answer. And it's slightly different to the structure we looked at before, which was an idea, explain, and example. This structure is slightly different. We're explaining why some people have an opinion. So here we're giving reasons. We're kind of listing reasons, giving more than one. And when we've got more than one idea here to give reasons, a good structure to use is this firstly, secondly, finally structure. Now you can see the first thing we actually do with this structure anyway is give a direct answer. Here we've begun it slightly differently, not with yes or no, because the question doesn't require that. We've started with I suppose, which shows I'm giving my opinion. I didn't want to repeat the word I think, because that we used in the previous answer to the question before. So I suppose there are different reasons why some people choose not to go abroad on holidays. So here we're just introducing our answer. We're saying that there are different reasons. So plural, more than one reason. We're just getting the person listening ready to hear our list of reasons, basically. And you can see in the second sentence here, we begin giving our reasons. So we're using the word firstly. This gives a nice structure, makes it clear and easy to understand. So firstly, it's usually more expensive to travel abroad than to stay at home. Quite a clear and simple sentence there, really. We're just comparing traveling abroad or staying at home. And you can see we're using a nice comparative there, more expensive than. So that shows off more skill in English. It's showing different grammar, giving more grammatical range. Then we're moving on to the second sentence. Now, you could begin this with secondly, but we've already used firstly. So here you can see we begin this sentence with a second reason. A nice clear way to begin that sentence to show you're moving on to your next reason, making it really clear. A second reason could be that some people find it stressful to spend time in a foreign country where they don't speak the language or where they feel they can't easily integrate with the locals. So a bit of a longer sentence there, but it's all about feeling stressed or finding something stressful. Some good collocation there as well. And also you can see a nice word there, a bit less common with the word integrate or integrate with the locals, which basically there just means to communicate with the local people in the area that you've gone on holiday. So that's two reasons, and of course you could end your answer there, but a nice way to close your answer is by giving a third reason, and rather than saying thirdly or a third reason, we can use the word finally to show we've come to the end of our answer and we're giving the last reason. So here it says, finally, many people just love where they live and don't feel the need to travel abroad. And there we go, that's just the final reason there and the closing of the answer. So that just shows you another structure we can use for these part 3 answers. We've looked at 2 there, the idea, explain, and example, and also the firstly, secondly, finally structure. And hopefully it's given you some ideas for the topic of holidays. And here we've seen 2 very common styles of question that often come up in part 3. Do you think that it's important for then something? And also, why do you think some people prefer, and then whatever it is. These are very common questions, and it's great to use these 2 different structures for these styles of questions. So my advice is try and practice answering these questions or styles of questions yourself and practice using those 2 structures. That's not something you can do straight away. It takes time to make the structures feel more natural so you don't have to think about it consciously when you're in the real test. So there we go. Hope the video was useful for you and now you know a little bit more about part 3 of the IELTS speaking test. If you did find the video useful, then don't forget to click like. Also, if you haven't already, then remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on videos covering similar topics on the IELTS test. Also, don't forget, we've got videos twice a week now. We've got the pronunciation videos as well, which I think is important to focus on a bit for the IELTS speaking test. It's something a lot of people kind of ignore a bit in their preparation and it can bring your score down. So there we go. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you again in the next video.